do you have some best practices or feedback around how do you get the employees to be loyal, to be involved, to be engaged, and where does that align with the EX impacting the CX?
Yeah, I think it was the CEO of Southwest, Mr. Kelleher, who said that that he wasn't interested in customer satisfaction. He was more interested in employee satisfaction because it took happy employees to make happy customers. And I think that there's a lot of truth in that. And there's and a lot of organizations haven't paid attention to that or didn't pay attention to that until fairly recently. But I think that that if we want to, we invest a lot of money hiring staff. If you look at contact centers with 20, 30, 50% annual turnover, you look at BPOs with 100% or more annual turnover. We've seen organizations with 300% per annum turnover. Now, they're spending I don't know, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 a person on that recruiting, hiring, onboarding, training, putting on the floor cost. And if they're leaving, then you're just turning the crank again and getting more of the same. So we need to think smarter about how we manage those finite people resources. And I think that the pandemic has really allowed people a different perspective on what work could be. Folks who never really thought about working from home, because that never was really an option for most contact centers.
Yeah.
Less than 10% had remote agents pre-COVID, and then everyone had remote agents, it seems. So they got to thinking, well, maybe this is a possibility. Maybe I can rethink the way I work. And the organizations lagged that, and and as a result, a lot of folks reconsidered what they wanted to do to spend their career at. So I think that we need to, we need to treat our staff fairly. We need to make sure that they know what the job is before they start. You don't want folks who just come in, want to complete the training, and then they'll quit because they don't want to do that crappy job. Or they don't know what the job is, and they only find out in training, and then they vanish and become a no-show during the first week of scheduled work. So you really want to give them that day in the life. Ideally, you want to have them shadow an agent on the floor, live or virtual, so that they can see what this job actually is going to be. I'd rather lose somebody before I bring them in the door, before we start investing in the onboarding, hiring, training. If we can scare somebody away, I'd much rather do that. Let's scare them away early, and then we can make sure we've got better matched people. I would test for skills and competencies. What do we need to be successful? If you don't have those, you could be a really nice person, but you're probably not going to be happy here. And if you're not happy here, you're not likely going to stay. And if you're not going to stay, I have to replace you. And then we need to make sure we train them properly. And we need to be transparent with our policies and procedures as well. We have to be fair and equitable. At the end of the day, a huge number of agents, we do agent focus groups all the time, will tell us that they don't think that their supervisors are fair. They think they're biased. They like so-and-so better. So-and-so is always getting this or that. And there isn't the transparency into the decision-making that sometimes could eliminate that human nature, perhaps, but that perception that somehow you're being disadvantaged. More transparency, the shining the light of day on these decisions, telling people why they didn't get the job or what skills or things they need to do to be better qualified the next time around, is much more helpful than just saying no and putting somebody else in the role, because then the individual is going to they're going to jump to their own conclusions. We can tell them why, or we can let them guess. And if we let them guess, it'll almost always be negative to the organization.